Welcome back to another Professional Picks college basketball video. It's been a little while now, but we did win our last bet on Marquette. That video taking place right around the new year. It's been busy, but there's going to be a lot more videos coming out, so stay tuned. We are going to have another one for this weekend, but today we're going with the Big Ten matchup. Unranked Michigan State going to Champaign to play number 10 Illinois, and this game is on January 11th. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and let us know what you're taking in the comments as well. Let's get right into the matchup. Michigan State is coming into this game at 9-6, and they've been going with that lineup on top there. That is 6-4 on the season. Doesn't feature a ton of size with Sissoko and Hall leading the front court, but there's still tons of experience in that lineup, with Jaden Akins being the youngest player as a junior. You got Malik Hall in his fifth year, Hoggard a senior, Walker fifth year. So tons of experience across the board. And then they also pair that with a pretty deep bench, especially in the front court, which is going to be helpful in this game going up against Illinois. So I said it before, but I'll say it again. This team is really hurting from the loss of Joey Hauser. They do have Malik Hall starting at that 4 spot. He was supposed to be the replacement, but he's having his worst year from beyond the arc, shooting about 26%. If you get that up, I really think it's going to make a massive difference for this team, especially with Sissoko not really taking any jump shots for the most part. On the other hand, Illinois is 11-3. They're going to be going with the lineup in the middle that is 2-1 on the season, while Terrence Shannon suspended. Won't really have much to say on that. Just going to let it play out. But they've looked great in their first couple games without him, and even put up a good fight in that loss, that 5-point loss on the road at Mackey Arena, one of the toughest places to play. But regardless, they're still not as good of a basketball team without TSJ. Damask has had some big games, but losing your top scorer, highest usage player is always going to be very tough to replace. At the same time, Illinois is number 5 overall in the country in rebounds per game. Started the season off at number 1 from what I remember, but I do expect them to take advantage of the smaller Michigan State guards on the glass. At the same time, you can make an argument that Michigan State's guards do have quite a bit more skill. Haven't been shooting it great from beyond the arc, but they are improving a little bit as the season moves along. Those Michigan State guards much more talented, like we mentioned, but you have both Walker, who could really hurt you from beyond the arc, and then Hoggard getting downhill, and then Akins doing a little bit of both. I think Illinois matches up fine defensively, but I'm not positive that Damask might keep this scoring going. But let's get into the spread. So both teams are coming to this game off of road conference losses. So I think both are going to be fired up to get back on track in this game. Another conference matchup. And so I don't really think anyone's going to get caught off guard or blown out in this one. Illinois did open at -4.5, and it already moved to -3, insinuating these two teams are even on a neutral court site. And I actually agree with the spread here. Losing your star player is tough to overcome. And at the same time, this Michigan State team was preseason top 5, and they're playing with the chip on their shoulder. They haven't had a great start. That loss to James Madison, and then another handful of losses as well. But this Michigan State team still has tons of talent and could definitely still make a run with it being early January. KenPom does have Illinois at number 9, so pretty close to their AP poll, being at number 10. But even at 9-6, KenPom still has Michigan State at number 19, which I just think speaks volumes about how good this team actually is and how much they're underperforming. So for this one, I'm going with Michigan State +3. I know it might not make a ton of sense, but I still think this team's going to figure out. And Damask is averaging 29 points per game for Illinois over the last 2. Kept them in the game against Purdue, where they could have been blown out, and then also just helped them run away in that game against Northwestern. But I really don't see him repeating one of those performances against the Tom Izzo defense. I do think they're going to have to bring in a little bit more of Cohen Carr, go to that bench a little bit more early just to get some size and athleticism within the lineup. So I do think it's going to be close. regardless, like I already mentioned, Illinois does have that size advantage, so I do think they're going to win the class. But Michigan State does have plenty of depth, so they're not going to worry too much about foul trouble. Carson Cooper's been in and out of the starting lineup this year, and then they just got Jackson Kohler back into the lineup after missing the first half of the season. So they have tons of bodies they could throw down low to at least mitigate some of Illinois' second chances. Last key stat I'll leave you with, why I'm going with Michigan State +3 on the road here, is that KenPom has that his stat called luck, essentially. It's just those 50-50 calls, just bad calls down the stretch by refs. But Michigan State, in that luck factor on KenPom, is currently 353rd out of 362 teams in college basketball. There's really just no way how that doesn't revert a little bit closer to the mean. You can't get any worse. Also have a great coach like Tom Izzo, who doesn't really show up early on in the season, but this is just around the time that they start to figure things out and get things going. I think now would even be a great time to take this Michigan State team for their Final Four odds. It is an uphill battle. They're not going to get a 1 seed, not going to get a 2 seed, but if they get in as like a 4 or 5 after a great second half, I think they have a great chance to catch that. But that's it for this video. Let me know if you guys are tailing or fading, and then stay tuned for that next preview of the top 10 matchup, Oklahoma versus Kansas.